Assalamualaikum. This is our research proposal HPT 30103L2. Our topic for research proposal is the impact of the COVID-19 epidemic on cultural tourism in Malaysia. Okay, this is our group member. In our group have 6 each member. Okay, chapter 1, Introduction, discuss the impact of the COVID epidemic on cultural tourism in Malaysia. Okay, firstly, the content that will be followed by, the first is subheading our statement of problem, objective of the study, question and study. The scope of the study is the importance of the study, the definition of the term, and conclude with the summary.
Background study is what the issues relate to the topic obtained in this research. The COVID issue that has plagued Malaysia since the beginning of 2020 has had a detrimental effect on society and the country. After that, pandemic COVID-19 affect cultural tourism in Malaysia and various tourism-related activity cannot be carried out. Problem statement. Problem statement is a problem in the issue and give an impact to the country, such as the impact of COVID-19 on cultural tourism. Cultural tourism activities were not well received when Malaysia was hit by the COVID-19 epidemic. After that, cultural tourism sank in the technological era when the COVID-19 pandemic hit Malaysia. The last one, there is a reduction in the number of tourists in the cultural tourism sector in a year. COVID-19 has a profound impact on the country to the point of being able to take leave and cripple the country economy. Research objective. Objective number 1, to identify the impact on the number of tourists visiting Malaysia on an annual basis due to pandemic COVID-19. Objective 2, study whether cultural tourism can be applied to young people or not if the COVID-19 epidemic continue in the future. Research question 1, whether cultural tourism can be applied to young people if the COVID-19 epidemic continues. Research question 2, what are the indicators that show the outbreak of COVID-19 is affecting the cultural tourism industry in Malaysia?
Cultural tourism can be applied to young people or not if the pandemic continues in future. As the closing of the tourism sector, young people cannot do some tour or vacation to the cultural places. Youngsters cannot do some research to the cultural activity such as visiting museum, historical places, and cultural village. This indirectly will reduce their chance to know more about their culture in real life. Culture is not about what we read and look, it's about feels. They cannot feel the real culture by sitting in front of computer and watch some documentary or videos about culture. They also will get limited lesson about culture at their school. Not just tourism sector, the education also affected by the pandemic COVID-19. At school, subjects such as history and pendidikan civic taught students about the history of some places and also some culture that have in our country. With these two subjects, students will know more about culture and can discover widely about culture if there is a school tour to the historical or culture places. The impact on number of tourists visiting Malaysia. Due to the pandemic COVID-19, many tourism spots cannot operate and mostly closed due to restrict movement order or RMO. The places such as Farm Fair, Water Park and also Eco Park also closed to make sure the pandemic COVID-19 not spread widely. This factor can lead to the decreasing number of tourists come to Malaysia. It is because there is no more place to go and no interesting place to be discovered. After know that Malaysia is under RMO, they definitely will cancel the flight and choose other country as their alternative plan. This make this will make Malaysia lose in the number of tourists as well as the income to the country.
Second, trigger an unprecedented crisis in tourism economy. The coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic has triggered an unprecedented crisis in the tourism economy, given the immediate and immense shock to the sector. Revised OECD estimate on the COVID-19 impact point to 60% decline in international tourism in 2020. This could rise to 80% if recovery is delayed until December. International tourism, which in specific geographic region is expected to rebound first. Domestic tourism, which account for around 75% of the tourism economy in OECD countries, is expected to recover more quickly. First, treating the job sector. The COVID-19 pandemic that hit the world became the biggest economic disruptor of the decade by threatening 75 million jobs in the global tourism industry and reducing revenue by about 2.1 trillion US for the sector same this year. In the broader economic scenario, 195 million workers are expected to lose their jobs in the second quarter of this year. Whether culture tourism can be applied to young people if the COVID-19 epidemic continues, and what are the indicators that show that the outbreak of COVID-19 is affecting the cultural tourism industry in Malaysia?
Assalamualaikum, it's me again, Natasha. For chapter 3 research methodology, I will be a presenter. For sampling method, we using probability method. This method utilized from random selection. Before us provide the random selection system, they have a mechanism of protocol that must be followed that will guarantee the virus unit to the population provide the same chance of being selected. Next, this method can achieve the objective for the research because the probability sample is the random sampling. And this method using when the whole population is accessible.
My name is Atiqah Faizah binti Zahari. Data analysis is outlined as a method of cleaning, reprocessing, and modeling knowledge. The purpose of the analysis is to extract useful information from data. Data analysis may be a method that relies on strategy and technique to retrieve information and seek information. Descriptive statistics provide a direct summary of the sample as well as its size. Descriptive statistics are generally distinguished from inferential statistics. With descriptive statistics, the objective of the study can be achieved. With inference statistics, you make an attempt to successfully draw conclusions. Reliability refers to the method of measuring a thing systematically. The reliability of the test measures the consistency of the result after continuity of similar view on similar sample as for a unique purpose over time. Internal consistency assess the relationship between various things in a view that should undergo a similar construction. The trusted analysis aims to reduce the subjective maximum amount as potential and enable the objective of the study to be achieved.
The lastly is, in conclusion, the research will carry for the purpose to identify the impact of COVID-19 pandemic against the cultural tourism in Malaysia. Therefore, the research can be used in the future for make a research information to give knowledge about the dangers of COVID-19.